everyone, and welcome to another episode of MovieCast, where I am joined by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr., and today we shall be talking about Bring Her Back. Where is she? Where did she go? Bring her back to us. Which Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. has seen and says is the greatest movie to ever exist in the history of all existence. Take it away, Mr. Bailey Jr.
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? So, I know that we spoke about Hurry Up Tomorrow. That was Dana's award-winning movie of the year. We spoke about that previously, which, by the way, that's totally a joke. We did speak about Sinners. Now, that is a phenomenal movie that you all should go see. Shout out to Gary Sway, because by the time he watches this video, he probably still will have not seen that movie, but we'll talk about that another time. But we're here to talk about Bring Her Back. I had an opportunity to see this early because I am an AMC A-list subscriber. They're doing this thing where they have a AMC screen unseen, where they basically have an upcoming movie, but they don't tell you what the movie is. They just tell you there's a movie coming out this day at this time. Go see the movie. So obviously, when I saw the length of the movie and I saw that it was a horror movie, I figured it had to be this movie, because this movie is actually coming out this Friday, which is the 30th of May. And I was correct. That's exactly what it was. Now, I will say it was hilarious because when everybody saw it was this movie, there were people cheering. They were happy, clapping. You know, obviously, this is made by, I believe it's Danny and Michael Philippe, or Philippou. They made Talk to Me. That movie was phenomenal. I enjoyed that movie when it came out. These guys are from Australia. It's pretty much like they're very good at making horror movies. They are working on Talk to Me too. So hopefully we do get that in the future sometime, maybe 2027, I think is when they are going to, either 2026 or 2027. But let's talk about Bring Her Back. And if you've seen the trailer, you may have some questions about what this movie is about, although I think the trailer does a very good job of basically telling you what the movie is about. So this movie is about, the story revolves around a brother and a sister that are basically, they end up being separated from their father, and they end up being taken in by a foster mother who basically is trying to do a ritual to bring her dead daughter back. Okay. I know it sounds very loaded. There's a lot going on in the movie, but let me explain. Okay, so the sister pretty much has a vision. She's visually impaired. She has an issue with seeing. She's blind pretty much. So the brother is the one that's always taking care of her, looking out for her, so on and so forth. So what ends up happening early in the movie, something happens to their father, and he passes away very tragically. So they have to basically find a new foster family to look into. And what they do is they come across somebody they are matched with named Laura, played by Sally Hawkins, who actually did a phenomenal job in this role, because she basically she also has adopted another little boy of her own. And she did also have a daughter. But to go into her backstory, her daughter drowns. Her daughter basically drowns. And the thing is, she has a lot of grief, not knowing how to deal with that situation. So what she does do, as we learn with the movie, because there are a lot of twists and turns in the story, but what happens in the movie is that essentially she gets into the dark arts, and she really starts to worship the devil and all this other stuff. And she has this whole thing where she possesses the boy, because the boy is possessed. The boy that she was taking care of is possessed. And then you see, as the movie goes on, you probably saw in the trailer, there was like this creature running after people. It actually is the boy, because the boy is possessed. The same picture you see in the image of this video, that's the same boy. So what happens is, because the thing is, the older brother and the sister, the older brother is already very suspicious of Laura. And actually, I probably should say the name of the boy. So the boy's name, I believe his name is Andy. The sister's name is Piper. Andy is already very suspicious of Laura, and he sees that she does a lot of really crazy things, doesn't really have any understanding of why she does certain things. So he does everything he can to try and watch out for her, because while he's staying there, a lot of weird stuff happens, so on and so forth. But what he starts to notice is that the little boy, he has these rageful bits where he basically, he always stays indoors, doesn't want to go out, and she wants to keep him out. Because what happens in the movie is that because the boy is possessed, he has a demon inside his body. There's a scene in the movie, very disturbing, where pretty much, he's taking care. The girl, Laura takes out his sister. They go out somewhere, and the boy is hungry, right? So he basically goes into the kitchen to try to fix the boy something to eat. And the boy, again, he's possessed as a demon. So he makes something for him. The boy starts to eat it. And then he starts to eat the utensil that he gave him. He starts to, it's very, very graphic, very gross. Then he starts to bite and chew on the actual table. And you can see the teeth and everything. It is very graphic, very brutal. But again, the boy is possessed. And the boy also has these violent bouts where he basically attacks the others around him as well. That happens in the movie a couple of times, okay? But essentially what happens is, by virtue of all of the investigation work that the brother tries to do, he eventually discovers that, and obviously I should mention this as well, the brother does also have trauma of his own that he's dealing with, because you learn there's a past between him and the father. The father was doing stuff to the kids. It's very disturbing. It's all very disturbing stuff, okay? But here's the interesting thing is, by doing his research, he discovers that this boy that is staying with Laura is actually a boy that was abducted by Laura. And the entire time, this boy is a part of the ritual as well to help her basically try to bring back her own daughter. So he goes to, when he finds out this information, because he actually gets kicked out of the house. Because the thing is that he's trying to get sole custody of his sister, and he has to have good behavior and stuff like that in order to get the sole custody. Unfortunately, he gets set up by her multiple times, Laura, with these mind games back and forth, and he gets kicked out the house. So when he goes to the lady who originally set them up for this place, she basically tells him, listen, he sees, while he's there, he sees that there is a photo of a missing kid. It's the same kid that she has in her possession. So he gives that photo to the woman, trying to convince her, hey, listen, this Laura person is somebody who you cannot trust. She has a kid that's there. And so he basically gets her to drive with him back to the house to confront Laura. And this is where it gets very interesting, because Laura is very crazy. They go to the house. Laura tries to put on a front, because earlier, before that happens, Laura gets into it back and forth with the kid, and actually gets a bit injured in that encounter with the kid. So she's trying to cover up the fact that she has a blood mark that she got cut. The woman does see that, notices it. And again, the whole thing is that Laura has this plan, because she wants to basically take the daughter, take Andy's sister, and basically use her to bring her daughter back. That's the whole thing of this ritual. So in order for that to happen, she tries to do everything that she can to cover her tracks. And what essentially happens as the movie goes on is that, and this is a very, like again, by the way, Dana, I think you already know, this is a spoiler review, because I've gone into great detail about all the stuff that's happening. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but you should see the movie. Listen to what I'm saying, but see the movie for yourself. But pretty much what happens is that, when they go back to the house and they confront Laura, that conversation does not go well. The lady does eventually see the boy, and the way they make the boy look with the makeup and stuff, the protruding belly and stuff like that, the evil red eyes, they did a very good job with the makeup and stuff of that. But what happens is they do see, yes, okay, so this whole time Andy was telling the truth. They try to get in the car to leave. Laura comes out of nowhere and smashes right into that car, kills the woman that set up the meat, and kills Andy. And when that happened in the movie, that was like, wow, that was a very intense scene. The way they shot it, the way angle they shot it, and you like nobody survived that. And yes, that's exactly what it was. She kills both of them. So again, the sister, she knows who her she actually knows the sister's named Piper that is blind, right? Even though she knows she can't really see her brother, he has a particular scent on him. I should have mentioned this earlier. So what happens is the reason why Andy gets kicked out the house is that Laura decides to get his perfume, spray it on herself, and then she strikes the girl, hits her, so that when Andy does confront his sister, she thinks that she thinks that he attacked her, and that's how that's how Laura gets him kicked out the house. And when he comes back and all that stuff happens, yes, the character does get killed. I thought that Andy would survive that crash, but no, he is legit dead and killed. So when the daughter comes back, they make you think, okay, this is not looking, this is going to look very dire. It looks like Laura's going to be able to pull this off. But essentially what happens is Piper does fight back. She does manage to fight back as Laura is trying to drown her, because her goal is to drown her, just like what happened with her daughter when her daughter did drown, is a part of the ritual to try to bring her back. And it does not work out that way. She is able to escape because she goes out onto the road where she waves her hand, somebody sees her, and they take her away from there. And the boy wanders off into the field. You can see that the curse, all of this stuff is starting to wear off, and eventually the police do find him. So he does, at some point, you would assume he gets reunited with his family, because they find him, they ask him what his name is, and he says his name is Connor, and so on and so forth. But how it ends is Laura, because she still has the dead body of her daughter, she puts that body in a freezer, and she keeps going back and forth in there. You see a lot of that back and forth. So what she does is she takes the body out of the freezer, and she decides to get into the pool with her so that they could both drown together. As they are in the pool drowning, that's when you see the overhead shot of the police coming with the lights. So they basically are able to get there and stop her in time. And that's how the movie ends. So let me just say this. Obviously, the movie is dark. I think that Talk to Me, that movie was a lot more darker, and the character in that movie did not have a happy ending whatsoever. The main character did not have a happy ending at all. This movie, however, what they did is they tried to get a little bit more emotional with the family aspect of it, talking about the trauma that the kids were dealing with and showing you the lengths that this woman wanted to go to try to bring her daughter back. Because obviously she's dealing with a lot of grief, but her decision to turn to this method of trying to bring the daughter back is just somebody who was far too gone. So they just tried to show you that, but they show it to you in a more, like I said, this is like a supernatural horror film in terms of some stuff that happens in it. Overall, I would say, yeah, for a movie that I saw and I wanted to see, I thought it was pretty good. Do I think it was the best horror movie of the year? I can't say that. I can't say that in full confidence. I could say it was a very good movie. It made me want to see Talk to Me too, because I love Talk to Me. I think that is a movie everybody wants to see. This is a nice little movie that they could have did, because again, these horror movies are always great to see. They're always entertaining. But again, it was a good movie. If you saw the trailer, you saw a good portion of the movie, I would say, but there are some things you didn't see that are pretty disturbing that you did not see. They probably couldn't put that in the trailer. But overall, I think it was a pretty good movie. If you are a horror fan, you do want to see something a little bit different, and it has a bit of an emotional twist to it as well. It is worth checking out. And again, I did this on the AMC A list, so I didn't really pay anything to see this. But yeah, definitely worth checking out, I would say, for maybe a matinee, maybe an evening, early evening type of screening. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. Very, 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 very good, very, very decent movie.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Would you want a sequel?
Absolutely not. I don't think a sequel is necessary for this movie. I mean, I guess if they're talking about Connor, what happens to him afterward, but I think we've seen a lot of movies where a character is possessed, they have the trauma of being possessed, and then they have these things where they go back and forth. I think we've seen that far too much. I do like the casting, however. All the casting in this movie was awesome. I think that I definitely will. I think some of these actors and actresses definitely will be in Talk to Me too. I think they can definitely do that because it feels as though they did a phenomenal job with the performances. That little boy that played the character of Dispossessed, he did an outstanding job. So he definitely will be in some more things. But again, a very traumatizing character to play, I will say. And I have to say this, it was very disturbing. I can't really fully describe the disturbing nature of seeing him biting into stuff. You see the veins, you see it's very gory and brutal to see that on the screen. So the makeup, they did a very good job with the makeup, the prosthetics and stuff like that. But yeah, this and I gotta be honest, man, if I ever see this kid, if this kid was roaming around in my house, I would try to get the hell out of here as soon as possible. That kid scared the hell out of me. I will not lie about that. The way they presented that character just felt like he could pounce on anybody any time. And he did do that in this movie. He tried to attack Laura, the woman that adopted him. He definitely tried to go after Andy, the other character. So yeah, this is not somebody you want to mess with, clearly. But again, he was possessed, so it's not his fault entirely. He was possessed by the woman, by all the stuff that she was doing. So it is what it is. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. So at least you got to see it for free. It wasn't bad. So that was a good thing. And you do love horror. So I'm happy that all worked out for you. And I look forward to seeing it as well. And it should be pretty good. I think it'll make some money. It was a small budget film, so that's good on the plus side. So I'm happy that the audience broke out in applause, in cheers for that.
Well, yeah, I gotta say, I like the work of the brothers working on this stuff. They again, I think Talk to Me was a movie that I like to see horror movies. It wasn't a movie that I expected to like as much as I did, but also because with Talk to Me, there is actually a world in there because of that whole statue with the hand. You kind of want to understand, where did that come from? That's why I said that particular movie, it makes sense that they can have multiple movies because they can go into the history of what happened with that statue in the beginning originally. And then, of course, where it goes into the future. Because by the end of that movie, the main character is dead. And then you see somebody else, basically using that same statue. So it makes you very curious to see what they're going to do for the sequel, because I don't know what they're going to do with that sequel. But yeah, if you are a horror fan, definitely not a bad movie worth checking out. I can guarantee, though, you will be scared, you will be grossed out, but all in good fun.
That sounds amazing. So guess that's it for us. I look forward to seeing it. Richard said he's going to watch it 50 more times, and it's the greatest horror movie he's ever seen. So I have been your host, joined by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. and his wonderful review, and we will see you next time. Have a great day, evening, afternoon, whenever you're watching this.